We do see him come to some resolution in his own mind that he is sorry for some of the things he's done, but I think for Matt, I don't think he fully understands why he's sorry. He just knows he should be. He has the emotional intelligence to say the words, but to understand them, I don't think he's there yet, and we leave him there.
Faith at the Fringe, a Sanctuary First podcast series. Uncovering God in the creative arts. At the biggest international arts festival in the world, Sanctuary First stops to ask, where does faith and art meet?
Hello and welcome to Faith at the Fringe podcasts for 2024. It's a very exciting episode, this episode number 9, not least because we have Laura Digan with us. Hi Laura.
Woohoo! Yes, I'm very excited to be here today.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're on. I'm so happy that you're on for this conversation as we are looking at how does art bridge that gap between community and society, from the church community and society, and it's specifically in culture. And here at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, the largest cultural festival, I think, in the world.
Yeah. Well, when I was walking along the road, seems to be people from all over the place, all over the world, all very excited to be here. So yeah, they're in for a treat.
Yeah, there's lots of lovely chatter in the streets, isn't there?
Yeah.
And hopefully we're going to have lots of lovely chatter here with our brilliant guests today. We have Nathan Wedge and Bex Barlow.
That's me.
Hi, they are from Stirling Management and Stirling Academy, and you have got the fabulous show called What Matters in the End.
Yeah, that is correct.
We are so happy that you're here, Bex and Nathan. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, but let's be honest, when you first came, it wasn't just the two of you. We had the whole troupe in.
We did indeed, everybody in tow.
It was great, and that is who is on the photograph at the start of the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
But because we've only got the 2 microphones, you've sent them out onto the streets to flyer for the show. Yeah, and we're going to hear from Nathan and Bex. So, you've still got the show, it's going on, What Matters in the End. But why don't you let us know a little bit about the whole troupe that came along? Who else is in that photo that we've seen?
Yes, so there's myself in the photo, Nathan Wedge, there's Bex Barlow in the photo, and then the bearded man is PB Ware, and that is our tech for the show. And then the other 2 members, Amrit Jar and Francesca Higgins, are cast members to the show.
Fantastic. So you are a group of writers and actors from Northwest England, is that correct?
The majority of us are from Northwest England, born and bred, and Amrit Jar is from India and came over to this country last year, I want to say, but I could be wrong. So apologies, Amrit, if you're listening to this and I got that wrong. And now he resides Northwest England.
And is it your first time up at the Fringe?
It is, yeah.
How are you finding it so far?
It's exciting.
Yeah,
really
it's
exciting.
a whirlwind.
Enlightening, I think, as an actor and as a writer and as anybody in the arts, it's really. At first, I'll be completely honest with you, it's a little bit daunting. Because it is just so big, so vast, and so much going on. But ultimately, yeah, it's just a great opportunity, and we're really excited.
Do you know, I studied drama after I left school, and I never ever had the bravery to do anything like this. So I am just like in awe of like you guys, because it is because you're putting yourself out there, things that you've written yourself, and you're putting this out there, and it's so exciting, but it's daunting at the same time, isn't it? Yeah, and so it starts today, which is Monday, for those who are listening later on. So it starts today.
It does, yeah.
19th to the 24th of August.
And where give us the plug.
So we Shameless plug. We are at Greenside Venues at George Street, and which is held in the Royal Society of Edinburgh building, which is a beautiful building.
lovely.
And we are at the Ivy Studio at 12:50 every day this week.
And we will pop the details into our description, so that if you want to come along, you can get your tickets, and there's a nice, easy way of doing it, and you can come and enjoy the show that we are about to hear lots more about. And for those of you that are able to see this podcast, if you've got it on video, we've even got some merchandise on the jumpers. They're amazing. Yep, the jumpers have got a logo. So if you're not watching this, if you're only listening to it, that will be lost on you. So to apologise.
And they've got QR codes on the back.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, well spotted.
That takes you directly to the ticket link.
So if you see them in the street, you can just go up.
Yeah.
Well, funnily enough, yesterday we was just at the car unpacking for our dress and tech, and one of the cast members went, "That lady's just took a photo of PB." It's like, she'll be scanning the QR code.
That's brilliant. So good that actually people are doing it. I think that's one of the great things about the Fringe, isn't it? That people are here and they're here for that purpose. So to enjoy some cultural experience that's totally different. I mean, I think there are over 3,000 different shows here this year, which makes it, in one sense, really competitive. But as a kind of a participant and a person on the streets, excited and all that bustling along, it's quite something to have that many shows over the course of just 3 weeks in Edinburgh, which isn't a big city. As cities go, it's beautiful. It's our capital city, but it's not an enormous city.
But the trains have been heaving. The trains have been heaving, bringing people from all over to it. Yeah. But it's that creativity as well, that even though there is so many shows here and, it is competitive, there's that being creative in actually your promotion as well. So it's really quite holistic then as an approach. It's not just the show that you're creating, but actually the full package on like how are we promoting this and getting it out there, and people will be keen to see the actual innovative ways that people are promoting their shows.
It's beautiful watching the way that everybody promotes the shows. But like you were saying about when everybody comes together to kind of perform and to watch, I really enjoy watching everybody else just kind of interact with each other. I think it's beautiful that everybody just comes to this one place and shares their art.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's just beautiful.
It is. Right. So let's talk about the show, right?
Yes.
So here on the Faith at the Fringe podcast, we have had a real mixture of people coming on, and it's been so good to listen to and chat with and hear more about. So we've had some folks that are kind of that are Christian and their shows are Christian. They've got a really strong Christian message, and that's what they're looking at sharing and getting folks to think about. And there's other people that have a faith themselves, a Christian faith, but their show doesn't. And we've got folks that have been on and they don't have a religious faith that they follow in that sense, but their show has a little bit of it. And then there's other ones that are just, just everything all within it. And that's one of the real precious things about these podcasts, is that we are able to hold that space and have these conversations that they're just about faith at the Fringe. Is the place? Is there a place? And let's just hear. So I'm really pleased that you're happy to come on and chat with us about it, because your play doesn't have that kind of Christian theme within it. You're not a Christian faith-based organization. You're people who love the arts, and you've got a show that what matters in the end touches on real life issues. And how does religion or how does spirituality kind of influence or have that place within it? Would that be a fair summary?
Yeah, I think that's a really nice way to sum it up, because it is a complete exploration of society, culture, and although it doesn't directly link to Christianity, and it's not actually voiced whether 3 of the characters have religion, but we do see them all within what we call death, but we can't say that it is death to the audience. They'll take from it what they need. So how we've done that in the staging wise is when we see the characters within life, there's a warm wash on the stage. And then once we witness the demise of each character, we then have this harsh, bright white light that lights the stage. And there is reference to pearly white gates. So we do touch on
Yeah, I suppose there's kind of references to lots of different religions, really, I suppose, within the show, whereas the show itself is not religious exclusively, but I would definitely say that it was spiritual,
Yes.
if that makes sense. It's even though it isn't specifically religious, it is spiritual, and the two tend to go hand in hand, don't they? But can also be considered separate.
So you're touching on a little bit of what's in the show. If you were to give like that kind of headline description about your show, just so that we can get a bit of a feel about it, what would it be?
Yeah, so we blurb it as the journey of four unwitting souls as they explore the depths of society, faith, culture, and family. And they have to explore it, even though they don't want to. And we explore questions that we may avoid to ask ourselves.
That sounds challenging.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And it's like, because people can be quite precious, about their faith, and they can also be really precious about their culture as well. So how challenging is the play, and is it like, does it stay respectful?
Not at all times, no. But I think we made that decision to go there to watch the journey back, because it was the best way to explain the journey by demonstrating it in that way. And I think writing it has been a little bit eye-opening, because I sort of had to ask myself some of those questions along the journey, and I didn't want to hear all the answers, but
Art, isn't it, is you're challenging yourself and you're challenging your audience too. So a lot of it will very much depend on, regardless of what has been written and regardless of what is performed, is how an audience sees it and what questions do they take away, what questions can they answer based off of what they've seen and any thoughts that might have prompted.
And I think that's really powerful, because like I'm a minister, and like I always like to be challenging, people. And I think it's really good that for people to be thinking for themselves and actually, well, I believe this, but why do I believe this? And to actually be able to question things, it's not a bad thing. It's actually a really powerful thing, because then you're taking ownership of why you believe something. And I think art, especially like through the written form and through drama, they can really really take this quite far and really prod people, especially about these big questions, because what does matter in the end, and that's a huge question.
This is it. I mean, all the events that happen are things that most people, I imagine, will have experienced at some point in some way. But ultimately, so I personally have been through like a spiritual journey. What would you call it?
You can
I
say it,
suppose
Jane.
maybe
It's got a-
recently. I was going through a very difficult time. I was quite depressed. I wasn't very well. But recently my mindset has changed, and I've started to really realize who I am and what I want and how to progress in life. And a lot of that is having to ask yourself the questions that are in the show, like what matters in the end. And if you can constantly remind yourself of that, like what really matters in the end, that's how you can stay true to you and stay true to your community and stay true to humanity, essentially.
Wow, that seems like that's quite a journey then, in terms of journey's the right word. It's just, but and these things, they do come in life, don't they? And we might have in our head what life might look like, whether you've got faith or not, right? You might have an assumption of what life might be like, but then quite often we've got bends and twists and turns, and we're looking for the path that is the right path that we're walking on, and journeying, going along that path with it. I mean, and it's part of it, I think, is also about having people around you to help in that as well. So I guess I'm wondering, you don't need to talk about that personally, but even within the play, is that reflected? Are you able to bring out the fact that it's also, you're not on your own with these questions? How do you explore
Definitely,
that?
yeah. So the only actual question that we verbalize ever in the play is what matters in the end. But there's so many questions in the subtext that, again, Bex quite rightly said, we don't get to dictate what those questions are for the audience members. But definitely, we watch the 4 characters and how their lives intertwine, and actually how their journeys cross over, and they have to face the things that those characters have been through, and their journeys are different, and it's in those differences that we unite as one. And we really do see that with those 4 characters, definitely.
So tell us a little bit more about these 4 characters. So you wrote the play, is that right, Nathan?
Yes,
Right.
with some fantastic editing by Bex and Amrit.
Fantastic assistant. And so when you had these 4 characters and you were writing them, did you pull them from one person, or are they 4 different?
So yeah, the original thing was Amrit actually came to me and said, look, I want to do Edinburgh Fringe. I quite like the idea about telling my story of how difficult it's been on my journey from moving from India to the UK. And I was like, leave it with me, I'll get something sorted. And then it just sort of like spiraled there, and we sort of built the script around the actors. I don't want to say that, because if you watch
It's very
it,
meta.
if you watch it, my character's horrible. Yeah, he's a hard watch, is Matt. But
So
yeah.
what makes him horrible? That's really interesting. You're able to say this character is not particularly nice.
Yes, so we
what
watch. Let's talk about Matt quickly then. Matt is ex-military, and since coming out of the military, he found himself homeless and using drugs to, I don't know, deal with the pain, I think, or not deal with the pain. I think that's the wrong term. To numb the pain, to get rid of the pain, to not feel anything. And his journey out of the 4 characters is probably the one that takes the longest for him to learn anything.
If he ever does.
If he ever does, he doesn't learn enough, even by the very end. But that was purposeful as well, because there are going to be people in life that don't learn enough,
Learn at different rates.
Yeah. And not so much like the academic learning, but just learning about like how to be there's a lovely line actually about being a basic human being, and Jack says to Matt, and you fail at that. Yeah, which really cuts. And also another beautiful line that gets said to Matt is, he says like, I've tried to numb the pain, and Pavan says to him, are you so blindly ignorant to think that you're the only person in the world entitled to pain? And Matt genuinely is. He thinks it's about him, and it's not. It's about your fellow man.
It's so hard when you're in a place that's really dark to think about other people around you, isn't it? That you do kind of think you can just almost implode a little. It's just, you do think it's all about you. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I was keen to find out, have you got other people around the characters and helping them through that? Because, I mean, the story that you've described there about Matt, unfortunately, is quite, we see it lived out in
Far too common.
our veteran community as well. We see that, and not just within the veteran community. And you think, how are you? Do you give answers to that question for the audience? How do you leave the audience with that character?
We do see him like come to some resolution in his own mind that he is sorry for some of the things he's done, but I think for Matt, I don't think he fully understands why he's sorry. He just knows he should be. He has the emotional intelligence to say the words, but to understand them, I don't think he's there yet, and we leave him there.
Oh, so you leave him there.
So they've got these unresolved characters, unresolved questions.
Yeah. So we had trouble actually when we was coming to a close of the play of what matters in the end is the title of the play. It is the journey of the play. And we had, how are we going to finish this off? How are we going to tie up all these storylines? How are we going to just finish it? And we was really in our heads, and then we decided it doesn't need to finish. It just needs to be asked.
I think we kind of realized that that was the whole point all along, without realizing that was the whole point all along, was we're asking ourselves, what matters in the end? What matters in the end? Well, let's just put the question out there. What matters in the end, guys?
Because it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
And it seems as well as if it's a very current play. You know, it's speaking into society just now, and a lot of things that are like happening. You know, so there will be like people will be able to probably recognise characters, you know, in the situations that they find themselves. But also it's like I like actually how it's unresolved, because actually there's so much actually within our society that is unresolved, and you think things could go one way and things could go another way, but there has to be some kind of action and understanding for there be able to be like resolution.
Yeah, we see that actually, that there is some understanding but no resolution with Jack and Matt particularly, because Matt asks for forgiveness and Jack says, for myself, I may forgive you in time. Not for you, Matt, but for myself, I may forgive you. Just for my inner being.
Well, Jack has always been what is often referred to as a people pleaser, very empathetic, and has always put other people before themselves. And I think they kind of realised that that's gotten them nowhere. And so eventually they start to realise that they can still be their empathetic selves, they can still be caring, they can still be giving, but they don't have to sacrifice their own happiness and who they are in the process. And I think that's where that comes from in the end of like, you know, I will forgive you, if not just for you, but for me too, because I need peace as well. So yeah,
They're really strong themes.
Yeah.
They really are. They're deep. They're meaty. And I'm kind of going, okay, that's only two of the characters.
Yeah, so Jack and Matt served in the military together. That's their connection. And then when Matt left the military, he sought out Jack's sister, which is Fiona in the play. And it was Fiona that got Matt into the drugs. So, but we see Fiona at a point in their life where they are clean and they put their purpose into youth work and they're on their healing journey for themselves, and sort of left Matt by the wayside, because they decided that they needed to do it for themselves. And then we see a beautiful reconciliation of Jack and Fiona, who have been distant for many years.
they have had a kind of a troubled upbringing. Jack and Fiona are siblings, and they've been through the foster care system, and they've also experienced other kind of traumas personally as well as siblings. So they have a lot to work through, and as much as it isn't delved into very deeply within the show, it is referenced enough that you can get an idea of what they've been through together and separately in order to come back together. But I think it's really important, I think, kind of what you said about like healing the selves. I would like to think anyway that we all understand that togetherness and unifying is so important. And as much as we think that we can control that, we can't really control that. The only thing that we can control is ourselves. And I think the more people that, like those characters, start to look inward and answer those questions and prompt thought within themselves of how they can maybe do more to heal and to be peaceful within themselves, the more they'll do that with each other. And then that will grow. It's like a ball of energy, a light, and it will grow from you to everyone else as you go. You know, it's all right to start on the outside, but you've got to work inwards, outwards.
Yeah, I tell like, and it's like creating community.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating from a person with a Christian faith listening to you talk about issues that we talk about in church as well. And within our Christian life, we're thinking about forgiveness, we're thinking about reconciliation, we're thinking about healing. We will go to different sources, you know, whereas we'll go to Jesus, and obviously your play is exploring different issues and different strands within that. So I'm quite curious then, when you are, you know, when you are thinking about what matters in the end and these deeper issues, and that you're been ringing through your play and through the characters, do you think that there is a place for spirituality and religion within your play? Does it? I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier, so I'm just going back to that and just thinking, can you unpack that a wee bit further?
So I think it's a good time to bring in Pavan, our fourth character. So Pavan's character has faith, and it's probably the only character that actually references the faith that they've got. We don't actually ever find out directly if Matt, Jack, or Fiona have faith as such. But Pavan is from a Hindu faith, and he talks to all the characters about various things within the Hindu religion, not in a way to put that religion onto the characters, but to make them understand that although you don't believe in my religion and you don't believe in karma, say when he's discussing karma, or you don't believe in the celebration of Holika Dahan, which he references in the play, there are learning opportunities for people without faith or with a different faith from his Hindu faith. And it's about being able to see what those learning opportunities are. And we watch the characters find the learning within other people's faiths.
There's a coming together within his references to the religion, because a lot of the time, even outside of the play, when we do talk about religion, I think we often find that there are so many threads that are very much the same. And as you said, Ruth, about referencing, some will come to Jesus, and there's always a different main focus. But ultimately, I think we're all kind of looking for the same thing, really. And that's what Pavan's character does, is it kind of gets everybody to realise, I think, in a way, we're all experiencing the same thing. We're all looking for the same thing. He's very unifying, isn't he, as a character?
Because the first time we wrote the play and then we performed the play, but the first time we actually performed it fully, I was like, Pavan is God. Within our play, to some people watching, Pavan's going to be the voice of God. But that's just how I saw it as Nathan. Matt definitely doesn't see it that way.
But it's great that these questions are being opened up, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. And I think, see, if people are not being told, and it's like, we're not telling you that it's just like, this is my thought here, and like, oh well, and the other characters are able to explore it. It then gives permission for the audience then to be in the same place, to be exploring these questions alongside.
That's exactly what we wanted.
That is exactly
what we wanted.
And not even if it prompts conversation, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But ultimately, even if they just go away and never speak to anybody about it, but just it's there and they're thinking about it, that's
get asked often, like, what do you want your audience to take from your show? And that's just it. I just want them to take a thought, whatever that thought is.
Yeah,
whatever they need.
So that preempts my question. What do you hope the audience takes? But no, I think one of the things I'm loving hearing from you is about opening up the conversations and tackling issues that are really close to everybody's life, and just saying it's okay to talk about them. It's okay to see and realize and understand that actually we're experiencing life, sometimes the same, similar circumstances in life, but from different angles. What can we learn? What can we take away? And I guess, maybe, I don't know, I'd love to hear your thought, just as we're coming to an end, just in terms of the Fringe in a wider sense. Is there something that you think the Fringe in itself can learn from your play and how you are handling and addressing these kind of life issues? Because it seems to me you're being very sensitive.
That is a really
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. And I think the premise of the whole show is that we don't have the answer. We just don't have it. I don't have it. Matt doesn't have it. And you can get as near as damn it to it, but the answer is yours to find. And your answer isn't wrong. Even though it might be wrong to somebody else, it's not wrong for you because it's your answer. So as long as, you know, you answer with, it's just asking yourself inside. So the Fringe just need to ask themselves inside, what does it matter to them? And then we don't want to ask it for you.
yeah.
Becky, were you going to add something on there?
No, it was just the Fringe as a whole. I think I don't know as far as can they learn anything, but just keep doing what you're doing, guys. Keep being creative. Keep exploring. Keep sharing. Keep talking. That's all I want for Fringe.
No, it's lovely, isn't it?
It really is. And I think it's like really inspiring. You know, it's really inspiring. And I think as well, there's that actually just keep asking questions, keep seeking, keep asking questions. And because continually, you know, that's the thing. It doesn't matter what happens in life. You're always going to come up another situation, another set of questions. And so just keep exploring and be open.
Is that your takeaway?
That's my takeaway.
Yeah, your takeaway. So I'll need to think about mine then. And I love the whole premise that you've got about sensitively discussing and addressing life and leaving it as open-handed, you know, open-handed, open questioned, and just encouraging each other on. That's how I feel. I feel as though you're championing and cheering others on to go, yep, you've got these life issues, but keep going. There's other folks that...
It's a celebration in... through...
Strangely, it is a celebration of life.
Amazing. Brilliant. Well, Bex, Nathan, thank you so very much for coming on the podcast with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We hope you have an amazing time here at the Fringe with your show. We really hope it all goes really well and you have wonderful reviews from it. And Laura, thank you so much for coming on.
It was wonderful. Thank you.
Pearls of wisdom, as always, from you. And thank you to you, everybody, for joining us for our Faith at the Fringe podcast here with Nathan and Bex for What Matters in the End.